The movie begins in the Ming Dynasty, where people are waiting outside the household of one of the four big scholars. As soon as the trash is put out, people start fighting over it to get something, and one gets a piece of cloth and people start to fight over that too. One's trash is another's treasure. A shot inside the household, we have a lot of brushes hanging, and Tong Pak Fu takes one and dips it in black liquid. Turns out it's soy sauce, and they are glazing their barbecue. Tong is not in the mood to work, but that day off turns upside down as his brother comes in. Tong immediately understands that he has lost money gambling again and has come over to get money from him again. Tong tells him that he cannot help him in the future because his wives are gambling addicts too, so eventually he might run out of money as well. His brother pleads with him as he lost a huge amount of money and lost the bet. It is either a painting of Tong's or a horrible fate. Having no other option, he complies, telling him to undress and use his body as a paintbrush as well, to draw a beautiful painting that is worth someone's life. Giving a final touch by spraying water on it, the painting comes to life. Tong has done his work once again, which shocks everyone. With a little bit of flashback, the four brothers have literary and artistic skills that are unmatched throughout China. One of them is unmatched, Tong Pak Fu. He is famous for his expertise as an artist, poet, and calligrapher, and also for having 8 wives. Everyone believes that he is a lucky man and is jealous of him. However, the reality of his wives is far from fantasy. All of his wives are beautiful, but they are gambling addicts and unappreciative of Tong's artistic skills. They use his paintings as a tablecloth, his book to stabilize the table, and a piece of his art to play with. Then he sees his mother hanging from above, trying to take her own life. But the game is more important to the wives. Tong's mother is devastated that she married him with 8 wives, and none of them could make him happy, but instead, it makes it even worse for him. He says that it is easy to get a wife, but not easy to get someone who understands you. Hearing that, all of the 8 wives simultaneously hang themselves. Tong Pak Fu is really stuck in this mess knee-deep. He tries to reassure them that he is happy with them, but they want him to smile too. And then comes a really forced smile. The worst of the Ming Dynasty. King of Ning comes to his house, and his mother suspects that he might be here to hire him as his consultant. Tong's mother makes up an excuse and says that he is sick. But that doesn't pass through King's men. They already thought that this excuse would be made, so they came prepared. As with a doctor, he bursts open the door and Tong's mouth is bursting with chicken wings. After a short musical about dying and not dying, he really doubts if Tong really is sick. The doctor checks his pulse, and Tong uses kung fu to change his pulse rate, causing his pulse to have a musical beat. This scares the doctor, and he tells Tong to prepare for his funeral, and they leave. Tong's mother is furious at him since there was an oath not to use it. The Tong family comes from a pedigree of martial arts masters. They are top of their class. However, they have 2 major enemies that Tong's mother never told him about when he was young, since he would go out looking for trouble. One of those enemies is someone whom his mother and father both fought in the past. Known as the Evil Scholar, their fights were one of the strangely. Tong's mother used many traps to attack him, but only ended up attacking Tong's father over and over again, to one time stuck with bombs on his face. However, their battle ended up with Tong's father almost victorious, but his spear broke, which resulted in his demise. He made an invincible spear so that this mistake would never happen if time gives him another chance. However, the second enemy is even worse since the second one is Tong's father's ex-girlfriend, Xiao Li. Tong's mother and she fought for love, but she ended up marrying someone else. Tong wants to leave the place for a while to escape King Ning. His mother advises him to take the spearhead with him since it's one of the 3 most strongest weapons. Number 1 being Evil Scholar, number 2 being his father's spear, and the third being Xiao Li's daggers. He looks back at his wives, causing a huge chaos in the house. He feels miserable and wants someone who could understand him and bring him joy. The next day, Tong is out with his scholar brothers, and they are quite the attraction for everyone. However, today, Tong seems way too happy, and the brothers notice this weird behavior. Always so envious of him, wondering what could bother him, he is the happiest man alive. Asking for his help, they tell him to demonstrate his skills by going to the girl on the bridge and flirting with her. When Tong goes towards the lady, it turns out it'd be a ladyboy. Though Tong tries to negotiate with him to look good in front of his friends, he turns out to be a robber. They fight, and Tong throws him into the river. Learning that he was a ladyboy, one of the brothers jumped after him, while the other regretted being slow. The brothers end up at the convoy of the House of Hua. Everyone has gathered around in respect. There, the brothers are attracted to one of their daughters, Chow Heung. Though Tong doesn't agree with her being beautiful, but looking at the other super attractive girls around her, he starts to become a believer too. They all dress up as poor beggars, just to see her again. When they are giving away food, the brothers take their bait. However, for Tong, he ends up with Chow, and he is deeply touched by her kindness. He falls in love, feeling like she is truly the one he really needs in his life after how his life has been wrecked with his previous 8 marriages. He tries to go into a temple to worship alongside and tries to sing, but singing is not allowed. When he returns, she is not there. He goes to a known speedy boat, but soon realizes that it's not speedy in reaching the destination, but speedy in sinking. Tong finally makes it to the house, dressing up as a poor man who is in need of work. He beats up an old man and disguises himself as needing work to bury his relative. The sisters come out and feel bad for him, wishing to keep him at work. But turns out that there is another man with 6 times more people to bury, having an every more sad backstory and diverting their attention. To increase the intensity of the story, he now has a starving dog. While Tong has a dead cockroach, he thinks of his relative. The girls are conflicted on who to choose. They beat themselves up to prove who is more needy, but the other guy ends up dying by accident, making Tong the default workman. The girls need the head madame's permission, and Tong thanks Chow. Tong now signs the contract to work for the Heung family for the next 6 years. He steals glances with Chow every time he gets caught and gets punished for it. But he is so deep in love that he can't stop, drawing her portrait with soy sauce. In the sky there is a kite, and Chow, along with her friends, is flying it. He throws a rock towards it and it breaks the kite down, falling on top of a roof. They see him and ask for his help. While doing so, he slips and falls. With some play on words, Chow and Tong fall in love and start kissing. But as is obvious, Tong is imagining it all in his head. This time, he falls on the ground for real and is caught by his boss. They are angry at him because he drew a portrait of a beautiful woman. In turn, the boss drew a portrait of Tong, and it is so bad that it makes everyone throw up. They beat him up, and Chow stops them. Tong gives back the kite, but it's broken. The girls leave, but aside from Chow, the rest return to beat him up for breaking their kite. Later that night, a woman comes to Tong, thinking that the portrait he drew was of her and trying to play hard to get. Tong doesn't want to get her at all. In fact, no one does. Failing to seduce Tong, she is attacked by the 4 perverted men. They have earned their title for pretty obvious reasons. Planning on getting to Chow, Tong agrees with their plan, with the intention of foiling it to save Chow. But he does agree that the Hua household has some of the most beautiful women. They all step over the old hag who tried at least. Entering the house, Tong deceives them into changing their path over and over, just to save Chow from being assaulted. He enters Chow's room, tries to convince her that the gang is after her, but she thinks he is one of them. Though he expresses his love, Chow says that his only true love is Tong Pak Fu, someone who knows his way through words. However, Tong is undercover there, so she doesn't know the truth. While Chow recites Tong's poem, he completes it, and she is a bit furious. How does a poor man know his words? She believes that he is one of the gang, but it's too late. They capture Chow and try to make a run for it, but the guards are way too strong for them. But that is not all. They could not best the madam of the house, who humiliated them in ways unimaginable. She sees a book of Tong Pak Fu and is furious, demanding to know whose book it is so she can punish that person. Tong takes accountability, but things take a turn as it becomes a musical again. He sings about his hate for Tong as he ruined his life, once being a wealthy man, all stolen away by Tong. With this, he also demonstrates his instrument-playing skills, which seems a bit too ahead of its time. This blows the hair up of everyone, except Chow, who now knows the truth. They are flying, but as soon as the boss sings, they come crashing down. Chow tries to make a reason for him to stay and convinces the madam that he is an enemy of Tong, and seems intelligent. He can fill a slot in the study, helping out the kids in their education. Inspired by this, Madam Tong Washington, which is a play on words as the Wah family. Tong disapproves, and he is named Wah On. The next day, he is there to teach the two brothers Wah Man and Wah Mo. But they are a few screw-loos. Tong knows what to do and tricks them into believing that he is a fortune teller. They kneel before him, and their previous tutor comes in. He is angry that Tong is taking his place and tries to attack him, but as the door opens, he gets stabbed and leaves the earth for good. The father of the brothers is shocked by the sight, and just as stupid as the brothers are, he is also easily convinced by Tong. The next day, he is given new clothes and a respectable rank. Getting more famous among the ladies of the house, he is getting closer to Chow as well. He draws her a portrait of her, but to his surprise, gets one back as well. He thinks that she knows that he is Tong, but that's not the case. She still thinks that he impersonated Tong, but really well. She is deeply in love with Tong, and when he asks if she would like to recite poems and sing songs with him, she agrees. News comes that Tong Pak Fu has been caught. They rush to the scene, only to find out that he is the scholar brother. Tong convinces him not to reveal his identity, or else both will be killed. He is taken away with a questionable punishment. He gets to spend time with that one girl from the night. Tong gets in and tries to set him free, but he doesn't want to go. He got a woman, good food, and away from all the loan sharks. What more could he ask for? Tong hears someone coming in, so he immediately hides in the hay. It's Chow, and she wonders if that man really is Tong. Wanting to seduce her, he lies that he is Tong and flirts with her. But while doing so, the girl returns for a round 2 of their rodeo. Chow hides in the hay as well and finds Tong there. Later, King Ning, along with his troops, arrives at the Wah household. Though Madam knows something is wrong, King Ning makes his way in, showing him a painting of Tong Pak Fu that he got. Wah's family doubts that it is his work, and Chow reads the painting through. They say that they have Tong locked up here and bring him. Now stuck in this place, the brother is forced to draw a phoenix, and he does, just not the way they needed. He is taken away again, this time for worse treatment. They call in Tong, being called Wah On, to have a poem and rhyming battle with their consultant. Basically like a rap battle. The consultant of King Ning loses and bleeds all over. Soon, they put out another painting of Tong's, and this time through the hand of the evil scholar. Because of their past, a fight ensues. In that, the daughters try to help them but end up getting beaten too, losing the beauty of their faces. Coming out of the table, Chow is now hideous. An evil scholar explains that he used his faceless kick on her. To fix this, Tong punches Chow's face countless times with Beauty Fist, which fixes it right back up. The evil scholar takes down Madame, and Tong comes in her place to protect her. This results in the painting getting destroyed. King Ning is mad and warns them about him losing his temper. Tong tells them that this is not the real painting, just so that he can buy some time, saying that the real one is in this house, and he can get it to them. Going with Chow, she is worried and keeps thinking to herself. As she looks back, Tong is already done with the painting, stamping it and then bringing it outside. They doubt it, but as the consultant checks it, he can reassure them that this painting is indeed by Tong. The King Ning is still mad that he got cheated into getting a fake one. The head asks what he meant by losing his temper, since he mentions that a lot. King Ning just takes a leak on the floor and leaves. Madame Wah realizes who Wah On really is and brings him some tea. As he drinks it, she makes him confess that he is Tong Pak Fu. He gets attacked, but he stops all of them. Madame reveals that the tea had poison in it, which is slow acting. There we see a commercial for poison. Returning to the movie, Tong gives Madame Wah the poison as well. Madame Wah was the ex-girlfriend of Tong's father, Xiao Li. Tong is taken away, and Madame Wah is not jumping because of the pill Tong gave her. Chow meets Tong and brings him the antidotes, as many as she could find. She wanted to really know if he is Tong or not. After being reassured, she is happy, but it should not be long because none of these are the antidotes for the poison. Madame Wah, is furious as she has been jumping for days now. Chow and her sisters beg for Tong's life, but Madame Hua is not going to hear a single word they say. Suddenly, everyone starts falling in through the door. They are now under attack by the evil scholar. He is here to get revenge on King Ning for humiliating him. A terrifying fight ensues between them, and Chow is scared for Tong, forces him out of the house to save him. Returning to the battlefield. She says that Tong has left, and others are shocked. In due time, the evil scholar overpowers Madame Hua, and she is left bleeding. Before he can give the finishing blow, a spear with a red ribbon cuts his path. It is none other than Tong, with the weapon of his father. The final fight ensues, and after a long struggle, Tong comes out victorious and takes down the evil scholar. Earning his father's weapon, the #1 spot, the head Hua is happy and is willing to reward him with anything he desires, knowing what he wants. Madame Hua agrees to let Tong marry Chow. After going through the tradition to find the wife, he is tricked, but at the end, he recites a poem which Chow responds to. They find one another and finally get happily married, but there was a catch that he never knew at first. Chow is also a gambling addict, and now he is stuck with the 9th wife, and with that, the movie ends.